We have come to the end of the questioning of Chris Nineham at the undercover policing inquiry.
Thank God.
He was being questioned about the infiltration of the undercover police officer HM118, who's the cover name Simon Wellings, to infiltrate Globalised Resistance, among other groups later on. He was asked about not just Globalised Resistance, but also Stop the War Coalition, the Socialist Workers' Party. I'm joined by Guy Taylor, who was also a member of all those organisations. What did you make of the questioning?
I found it an extremely boring afternoon. I mean,
you blame Chris for that?
No, not at all. I blame the questioning barrister. I mean, basically, he was due to have a whole day. He was ill last week, or the week before last, and he got delayed until now. No, last week it was, wasn't it? It seems like years ago now. After this afternoon, and basically had half the time. 2.5 hours approximately of questioning, and the first hour was the relationship between the SWP and Globalised Resistance. Now, to be honest with you, it felt like an anarchist leaflet from back in the early 2000s. But,
booklet, I think you'll find. It was the Monopolised Resistance by Schnews Collective was a booklet on this very matter.
It was, yes. And there was a leaflet which appeared before we actually did anything, which is quite incredible. But
on the ball, comrade, we were on the ball. I would say
certainly.
that the main difference was, whilst the anarchist critique of the relationship with the SWP and Globalised Resistance was that the SWP was a dead hand. It was preventing radicalism. Yet the inquiry seems to suggest that in reality it was the other way around, that the SWP was causing it to be more radical.
Well, that's what they wanted. Well, no, every cop just had the idea that their organisation was the most radical and dangerous thing in the world ever. We might as well be Al Qaeda. I mean, like, it's just fucking nonsense. We had, I mean, like in the first half, before the break, I think there was 5 documents put on the screen, which means there was no questioning about Wellings. There was nothing going on about undercover cops. It was just minutiae of this, what it's like to be a chief steward, how you liaise with the police over stewarding. It was dull. It was so dull. And to be honest with you, if you want to catch someone out with questioning about that kind of thing, the last person you want to talk to is Chris Nineham, because he can handle that stuff, you know, in his sleep, really. So, I mean, it was a complete waste of an afternoon. I mean, luckily, I think we dealt with Wellings in the 2 days of witnesses and 2 days of his testimony. He'd completely fucking crumbled and died, really. So it was, I was wondering what was going to happen before it started this afternoon, just to see what they were going to go on. What they went on was trying to say there was some nefarious kind of relationship going on here. It wasn't. It was just done as dishwater water, really.
I mean, see, this was an unusual situation because normally you have the civilian witnesses before the undercover officer appears, and that means that you get the opportunity to present evidence, to make arguments that are then presented to the undercover officer when he finally comes around. Obviously, that is not the case this time, and I think to me, the way I saw it was that it was the opportunity for the chair to get extra information about a topic which he is not convinced by. He's not unconvinced by what the undercover officer has said, and that has been in relation to the reporting that was it justified and considered necessary to have an undercover officer in the movement for the visit of the US President George Bush in the November of 2003? Was it?
That's right.
Yes, 2003. Yeah. And so that we had a bunch of questions around the police liaison that took place in the lead up to that. What I find incredibly frustrating is that liaison process was news. There was press conferences outside the Scotland Yard. I mean, I was in no way involved in any of that, but I remember it happening. There was a lot of contention about it. It was a midweek demonstration. There was a lot of thing about with the police. The police didn't believe that it was going to be that big. It turns out to be massively big. So many of the questions were like, did you speak to the police about it? Yes, we had lots of meetings with them. Who was it with? Well, senior police officers. Well, which ones? And it was like, go and ask the police. I mean, a lot of this stuff is a matter of public record. You could go and just do a search on like newspapers from the time to see the press conferences that took place. None of this sort of thing needs in place in a court-based setting where a barrister is interviewing a witness. These are matters of public record, and I found that very frustrating. And it's a theme that's existed throughout the inquiry, where things which could be picked up from a history book.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we are talking about 20 years ago. A little bit more than that now. These things are recorded. These things happened. They're not like they're not a matter of he said, she said from undercover police reports. They didn't happen in dark rooms or something. They're very, very, very public. But it does bring to what it brings to the fore to me is that's what Mitting was like. Well, maybe the deployment was required because this unprecedented situation of a US presidential visit at a time of mass protest against war, and getting a handle on the numbers. Now, when he gave evidence, HM118 Simon Wellings did say that he had to convince his managers that this demonstration was going to be big. Which it was, and I was proved right. But in reality, the bloody organisers themselves were telling the police that you didn't need an undercover officer to do that. It was a minor point though, and like you say, that was the only part of the afternoon's evidence that seemed to be actually drilling into something that was going to end up in the final report from the chair.
That's right. I mean, there was a few little bits of reconfirmation that Wellings was a fantasist and a liar and inflated everything, inflated his own situation, his own standing in the organisations he was part of. And I was hoping they were going to get onto the theft of stuff from the Stop the War Coalition office. I mean, he did cover Wellings stealing the Globalised Resistance membership list, or copying it onto a memory stick and taking that back to his bosses. There was a few bits like that, but basically they could have done that in half an hour, to be honest with you. Anything of note, of interest or use in that whole 2.5 hours could have been done in a fifth of that time.
One thing I thought that Chris did remarkably well, and I really want to pay tribute to him for it, because I think it's something which needs to be said more often, and he kind of hammered the point home a few times, was this was not just about spying. This was about disruption. This was about sabotage. This was, the undercover police it wasn't about the reports. In fact, the reports are worthless. And it's like the worthlessness of reports were not in terms of intelligence. I mean, they did have a use, but they wasn't about intelligence. But because it fed into that disruption, that undermining, that demonization of protest, with a view to criminalizing protest. And we are where we are right now in society, and in Britain, with the criminalization of protest because of these things. And that the undercover police were not just spying on people; they were doing so much to destroy movements. And we see that note that exists, the file document that was created in the aftermath of HM118 being exposed by yourself and others, as an undercover, as talking to the police at any rate, where a bullet point is put, considering mounting a destruction operation against globalized resistance, showing really that the police did destroy movements, as we have long said, but not more than that. They talk about doing it, and they put it in their files.
Well, it's an option, isn't it? It's always an option for them. And there was more. There was one document I remember. I'm pretty sure it's been published, but it was about someone who had reason to be pissed off with someone on the steering committee of GR who was moving and was short of money, and therefore, in Wellings' word, might be worth an approach. For what?
Recruitment,
well, or giving away free money or something. But certainly, that's another example of it. That definitely went on, and it was definitely considered at many junctures in the existence of globalized resistance, and I'm sure every other unfortunate movement on the left.
It's the end of another week at the inquiry. It feels like Simon Wellings' evidence was like months ago. It was only a couple of days ago. We've had a lot on this week. Next week we will be hearing from Robert Hastings, who used the cover name Rob Harrison to infiltrate No Borders, State of Emergency, the International Solidarity Movement, Rampart Social Centre. He will be the last of the SDS field officers who are questioned at the inquiry. I can't quite believe we've got here, really. It's been such a long period of time, yet it also feels incredibly rushed. That's because often at the inquiry it is rushed. Then we're done. Then we come back in the summer for the managers, but this is the last of the undercover officers. What's your impression of what you've discovered at the undercover policing inquiry?
Well, I've basically been here for 2 weeks, unlike the 15,000 weeks you've been here, and I mean, to be honest with you, my first experience of it was being a witness, and it was a high octane day for me. But it was quite exciting, and I think we got. I mean, I was lucky to have Don Ramble asking me the questions. I was lucky enough to have questions that centered on the undercover cops and not other issues pertaining kind of thing. So I quite enjoyed that. And to be honest with you, I think we completely demolished Wellings, and he helped when he gave evidence himself. And there was myself, Noel Douglas, MT. There was the statement put forward by you guys from Dissent. It all mounted up on him, and basically he had to end up saying, I didn't write that bit. That was added after I submitted the thing, just denying everything. It was interesting that he doubled down on MT. I think that's also backfired. And
I mean, not just backfired. I mean, I can't stress enough how that never happens, that the chair intervenes at the end and tells the witness that he doesn't believe him. So, I mean, he said he believed the evidence from other people, which is to say that it was and gave him the opportunity to change his position. And say it's never too late. It's never too late to come clean, which is something I would like, direct to Robert Hastings, though I can't see it happening because he's such an appalling human being. But yeah, I mean, that just doesn't happen. And I think that spoke volumes. It really spoke volumes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wellings was, because he hadn't had a relationship, because he tried to, he thought he was clean, squeaky clean, and he was going to come here and be the respectable, acceptable face of undercover copping. And basically, he fucked it up completely. And I was so happy to see him cry. I was so happy to see him squirm under questioning, and he's toast really, which is great. Yeah, I mean, let's hope the same and worse happens to Hastings Harrison, whatever his fucking name is, and may he rot on this earth before he gets to hell. So basically, yeah, that's it's not been a bad couple of weeks, really, is it? I mean, it's been certainly very interesting. I mean, yesterday was one of the most harrowing days we've ever had at the inquiry. Love and solidarity to Maya. I mean, it just unspeakable horrors perpetuated by one of the most, I don't use the term very often, but genuinely evil human beings I've ever encountered, really. And I don't know how on earth he is going to get through the 4 days of questioning he's going to be subjected to. Before we get to him, by the way, on Monday we will have Emily Apple at the end of the proceedings. That will be fun. That will be great. That will be great fun. Yes. Big love and solidarity to my comrade Emily, who has really brought to the fore the role of the forward intelligence teams in all this mix. So I think it's such a key issue, and I make the call again that Tranche 4 must call the forward intelligence teams to give evidence. If you want to understand what was happening in terms of the activism and the undercover police in that time period, then the forward intelligence teams knew everything. And it would be insane if officers from the forward intelligence teams were not called to give evidence. We know their names. I mean, we'll look them up for you. If I'm sure we can track them down if need be. And I'm not about to do that. But yes, I mean, it's been an interesting couple of weeks. It certainly has. I mean, I think, like you say, I think Wellings is completely discredited. I think he was so close. He had the opportunity. I think if he had, kind of said, I didn't say it was MT. I said it was that other guy. My managers have changed that. He could have been that guy. He really could have been that guy. He was there. He was so close. So far.
But he shat the bed. There we go.
And now he's got to go sleep in a poo bed.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, just all the normal stuff about liking and support this guy. He's just an incredible job. Like his videos.
Thank you.
Subscribe and all that stuff, and save you the job.
Yes,
do it, and give him some money on the coffee thing. co-fi.
Yeah, I'm just going to actually put it in. It was pointed out to me I could have always done this, which I never do. Of putting it in as a comment. I put a comment in as
it's invaluable, the service this guy offers, and it saves us all from 5 hours listening a day, all put down into little bite-sized chunks, and it's a godsend. So support it, share it, and make sure more people are watching. There you go. There's your advertising.
Thanks for me. I couldn't put it better myself. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you all again next week. Monday for Emily Apple, Tuesdays to Thursday. The former undercover police officer, Robert Hastings, who used the cover name Rob Harrison to infiltrate No Borders, State of Emergency, the International Solidarity Movement, and Rampart Social Centre.
I
Join
spent
us
an afternoon this once. It was horrible.
then. Cheers. Bye for now.